Hello, everyone. Dr. Jane here. Welcome to the channel. I am Dr. Jane and I am your favorite psychologist. The conversation that we're going to be having today is on executive function skills. What is that? Why is it so important for us to be aware of what these skills are and how they show up in our lives? We hear this term a lot, executive function skills. What does that mean? Executive function skills, these are a set of cognitive processes and mental skills that help us monitor and successfully execute our goals. Um, and these are different skills. It includes all of these skills right here. So, our organizational skills, our working memory, our time management, planning, our ability, cognitive flexibility, task initiation, our ability to start a task and our ability to finish a task. Um, Context switching. So, I am here at work, I am now at home. Prioritization. What do I do first? What do I do second? And so forth. Reflection. How self aware am I? How could I have done this better? How could I have done that better? Our self monitoring. Do I know what sets me off? And if I know what those things are, can I monitor myself when I'm in that environment? Our ability to problem solve. These are life skills, impulse control. Um, and when we're thinking about, let's stay with problem solving there for a minute. When we're thinking about a person's ability to solve a problem, this is so important because, throughout our lives, we are faced with sometimes minor challenges. Sometimes we're faced with big ones. How do we go about solving those problems? Impulse control. How impulsive am I? Because if I am an impulsive person, that means I do things without thinking. And this is important when we're talking about being in a situation where we may have to be grounded, where we may have to wait for all of the information to come out, then we can make a decision. But if I don't have the ability to control my impulses and I just do things without thinking, that is a problem. And it creates problems for the individual long term. Emotional regulation, this is another huge one. I did a video, and you can go look at that video where I talked about age and the fact that age is not just a number. So if I am looking at a 30-year-old person, if that 30-year-old person does not have some developmental issues, then we expect them to behave in a certain way. We expect them to have certain social skills. We expect them to be able to do certain things, right? Now, if they can't do those things due to a lack of their ability to emotionally regulate, if we look at them funny. We look at them with the side eye, with the stink eye, with the no eye. We look at them funny. If I see a 3-year-old on the ground having a fit, that's okay. But I cannot see a 30-year-old on the ground having a meltdown. Emotional regulation. And all of these things, most of them, originates in the prefrontal cortex. And so uh, these are all the different skills. You can look at the other videos that look at each one of those skills individually and what each one of those skills does for us, but also what each one of those skills, what's happening in our brain and with our um, neurochemicals or neurotransmitters and so forth, that neurochemical piece, what is happening there till when we are in emotional regulation, when we are there, when we're planning, and so forth. So, 10 top reason why we should explicitly teach executive function skills to our children. They are life skills. It is difficult to deal with an individual who cannot plan. Oh, good grace. It's maddening. It is difficult to deal with someone who lacks the ability to problem solve because you're sitting here going back and forth and discussing the problem, and the person lacks the wherewithal to solve the problem. Time management. Oh my goodness. Dealing with an individual who cannot manage their time. It is absolutely maddening, but it also domino effects into other areas of the person's life. And so their life skills, they build independence. They strong executive function skills support um, strong academics. Because if I have a student and this student realize that they have to complete this particular assignment, then they know, okay, I have this amount of time to complete this task because now I am in a sport, I'm in a club, I may work. And so I am planning my time and prioritizing what I'm going to do, when I'm going to do it, and how I'm going to do it. Such critical skills. And so as a student is moving with those skills, it definitely promotes strong academic support. Em- Executive function skills enhance our problem solving abilities. It supports our social skills because I want you to think about this. If you are dealing with an individual who they're very scattered, you're not going to ask them to do anything for you because they're scattered and you know they're going to drop the ball. And so if a person doesn't have those skills, they're not seen as reliable, they're not seen as dependable, and therefore, their social circle and the skills that they need to navigate their world is lacking. Research support that supports teaching our executive function skills. We need to teach these skills to our children. Executive function skills are shaped, they're not innate. We are not born with the ability to manage our time. We are taught those things. We are not um, born with the ability to problem solve. We are taught those things. And so parents have to teach their children these skills so that they can navigate this world independently as an adult and having these skills to be able to do that. Now, I did a video that talks about the impact of neglect, the impact of trauma on brain development and on nervous system development. Executive function skills are sometimes impacted by, by trauma, and it's impacted by neglect because then as a person is being neglected, these skills are not being taught. And so the skills are not being developed or they're not being shaped in the individual. We have to teach those skills because it allows us to be proactive with our children. And so that we are getting ahead of certain things. So I give you an example. Cleaning your room. When we cleaning our room, if I have a person, a young person, a child, and I ask them to clean their room, that is a task that they're being assigned. But they have to also know what it is to finish a task. Start, finish. Start the task, finish the task. Start the task, finish the task. That is an essential life skill. Because then if the person and there is another video on that talking about task initiation and so forth. If a person doesn't know how to complete a task and if they never experience that reward center, the dopamine and that reward center, and they never experience that sense of completing a task, they live their lives starting things, not finishing, starting, not finishing, starting, not finishing, and they end up not accomplishing much of anything because they never learned and they were never taught to start and finish. And that chemical piece that goes along with in our brain and the neural activity that is there when we experience task completion and we experience reward of perseverance. The person didn't experience that, they don't know what that is. Executive function teaches us and it teaches our children how to self regulate. This is such an important skill. We have to be able to regulate ourselves. And so if something happened, we don't just go all the way over there. In terms of our response, we kind of think about it. What happened? How did it happen? And kind of talk it through, and so that we are not constantly just reacting to things. We have to teach our children how to self regulate. And often, when children are not taught executive function skills, what we see in the classroom and ultimately as adults is that they disengage. They disengage from the learning process. They disengage from the things that, the projects that they're working on. And you see a lot of projects that are started, but they're not completed. They're started, but they're not completed because they disengage from whatever that project was that they were doing or working on. They never learned to complete tasks. If you like this video, please, please, please comment, like, share. Thank you so much for watching. I am Dr. Jane, and I am your favorite psychologist. If you have any stories with regards to parental betrayal, I'm not grown at 18, please email me those stories, and I will be doing commentary on those stories. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm Dr. Jane, and I am your favorite psychologist.